Hi everyone, it's Diane with Sew Batik, and today is Fabric Friday, and our topic is batik cotton. Oh, so many years ago, I would say it's probably been, oh my goodness gracious, almost 19 years since we started Sew Batik, Bruce and I. And the primary fabric that we produced at that time was 45-inch wide batik cotton for quilting. That was really the focus. It was 100% on quilts, quilt backings, and the quilter. And as the years went on, we added a lot of different base cloths. As you know, we also now have an amazing support group of garment sewists using our cotton, our rayon, our jersey knit, our linen. I'm like looking around the room here, just kind of listing everything off. And now for bag making and garments, to be honest, or anything, our canvas. And we're soon to receive our heavier canvas, which I'm so super excited about. But I wanted to talk this week about the batik cotton and really break things down and answer a lot of your questions at the same time. And those questions deal with what is in a brown bag fat quarter bundle and what is in a fat eighth pack, what makes up the Tiki Treasure strip packs, and do you have 10-inch squares? Yes, we do. Traditionally known as layer cakes, and just the different things that we offer that are batik cotton. And I'm going to start with one thing. We produce one width of batik cotton, and I'm going to say traditional batik cotton. So I'm going to stay away from our gradation batiks, our hand-dyed ombre gradation batiks, because those are completely different from the topic here, which is just the stamped and the hand-dyed batiks. We produce one width of fabric, and that is our 115-inch wide batik cotton. And it comes in on bolts, just like this. And we use this base cloth and this width of fabric to produce every single batik cotton cut or pack in our collection and on our website. So we do not produce, and I think this is a big question that we often get, we do not produce a separate collection of 45-inch wide batik cotton. Anything that is sold as a 1-yard cut, let's say, of 45 wide cotton is cut from our 115-inch wide, what I'll call backing, because that's what it's traditionally known as and used for is backing, quilt backing. Each one of our bolts arrives, I would say, 12 yards, 13 yards, 14 yards, kind of in that ballpark of yardage. So if we were going to back out of this bolt, this is a brand new bolt, if we were going to cut for 3 or 4 queen size quilts, we would be able to use 12 yards of this bolt and we'd have leftover. Well, 1 yard of 115-inch wide fabric isn't going to fit a backing, but it is going to do a lot of other things. And so those little things and the leftover fabric, that's the topic of today. I really want to share with you what we do with all this fabric, because we end up, you should see, we end up with stacks of the leftovers or the scraps or the chunks that we need to do something with. And we use and offer you every single inch of fabric. It's crazy, every single inch. First and foremost, we cut quilt backings. And so if on our website, you will see, if you go to the 115-inch wide cotton collection, you have the option of clicking this drop-down arrow and receiving continuous yardage of any yardage that you would like, from a minimum of 1 yard. Right now it goes to 5 yards. So if you need something longer than that, then you just have to let us know in the comments and we cut something longer. But for example, if you need something to fit a twin size quilt, we recommend 2.5 yards. And you'll see all the little indicators that say twin, queen, king, just traditional sizes that you would need. But always remember, and I don't have a pattern here sitting on this table, but always remember that every quilt that you make, whether you design it yourself or use a pattern, has a finished measurement of length and width. And so that is what we need whenever we need to help you find the right size backing for your quilt. The narrowest of the two measurements, let's say you have a quilt that measures 56 by 78. We want to worry about the 56 because that's all the fabric that you need. We want to make sure that you're using the width, our 115 inch wide, to the best way that we can for you. So let's say it's 56 by 78. Let's add a little bit extra for quilting, whether or not you're going to quilt it yourself or have somebody professionally quilt it. You need to add, I always add 10 inches so that I have some leeway, because we want to wash it, press it, and then use it, square it up and use it as our backing. So we would need 66 inches of 115 inch wide fabric to cover the back of the quilt with a one piece, no seams, no nothing. And that is just shy of 2 yards of fabric. And then with the 78 inches, let's add 10 inches, that's 88 inches. So we have a nice piece of fabric left over for binding, or to start your next quilt project, or to back a tablecloth or a table runner or placemats. There's so many ways, as you know, as a quilter, there's so many ways to use our stash of fabric, and especially something that is a larger piece that you would have left over from that backing, okay? First and foremost, we cut all of our backings from these big bolts of fabric, okay? And same thing with tablecloths. We have so many Sew Batik home ideas for you for using large pieces of fabric for tablecloths, for your shower curtains, for your duvet covers, for simply quilting 2 pieces of fabric together for a spring cover on your bed. It could be absolutely anything. And also know, batik cotton, let's say 1 yard at 115 inch wide of batik cotton can make a beautiful tunic. So it's not just for quilting, it's also for garment sewing. And why? Because it's cotton. It's a wonderful, breathable cotton. Our 45 inch wide fabric, let's talk about that for a minute. We have every single one of our 115s can be cut and offered smaller, and that's what we have. So you can buy a half a yard, you can buy a yard, yard and a half, 2, 2.5, 3 of all of these fabrics. And whatever we have left over from that is a really cool, fun thing. Our fat quarter brown bags are miscellaneous. They're mystery. We love mystery, and we know you do too, because you buy these guys all the time. Our fat quarter brown bags contain 8 fat quarters. And so I just selected 8 fat quarters out of our trays, and that's what we do. They're random, but you're going to love them together. So here's 8 different blues and purples that you might receive in your brown bag. Okay. We also have the jumbo brown bag, which is 16 fat quarters. And here I grabbed, again, what was in our tray. So this would make up 16 fat quarters. Fun collection of fabrics. And they range from brights to neutrals to what I call autumnal, to blues, to whatever it happens to be. But just know that they are of the highest quality, and they come, again, from our wide quilt fabric. So we have the fat quarters. We have any cut size that you need from our 45 inch wide collection. Then we also have fat eighths. And I love the fat eighths because you can do so many different things with fat eighths. I found this little sheet, and I have to make a cheat sheet for you guys, but I found this little sheet that describes how many 5-inch squares you can get, how many 4-inch squares, 3.5, 2.5. It's amazing what you can get out of a fat eighth, which traditionally measures 9 inches by 22. I think a lot of patterns are written for 9 inches by 21, but ours are mainly 22 to 22.5 inches long, okay? And then our fat quarters, I should go back and mention that, they measure 18 inches by 22.5, mostly, 22.5. Our fat eighths, I'm gonna move some of these out of the way, but our fat eighths are packaged like this. And they're so cute because they look like French fries. And we created this cute little label that says Tiki Fries on them. And these are $9, and you get 10 fat eighths in each one of our packs. These are probably what we have available the most options, I would say, because sometimes you really just want to add something to your stash that is a specific color or a specific color grouping. And so we put together neutrals, which as you can see are the tans and light shades, a few little dusty shades that go in there as well, but they make really great backgrounds. We have our, this doesn't have any plastic on it because I thought it would be easier for you to see, but we call one autumnal. So you have a lot of autumn shades. Here's another one that's more autumnal as well. So we have browns and the multi-shades and golds and blacks. Just beautiful for doing really neat fall and even this time of year, putting together your Thanksgiving arrangements of placemats and table runners and things like that. We put together, everybody's favorite color grouping is blue, it seems like. Blue or purple. And this is a blue group here. So we have dark blues, we have some Copen blue in here, twilight blue, a really, really good mixture of blues. And then we have our brights. Brights are brilliance. And so you're gonna see a lot of different fabrics in our brights as well. And so anytime we have a piece of fabric that measures, might be slightly over like 10 inches by 23 or whatever, that we can cut down to be a fat eighth, that's the first thing that we do. We always want to make something that you are used to as a quilter. And so we have our yardage, our fat quarters, our, I don't have any half yards out here right now, but half yards of course, and then the fat eighth packs. And then we also have, and I think I shared these with you last week too, but these are 10-inch square packs. And again, they're mystery packs, but I think you'll know that if you always look at our 115-inch wide collection page and really look at each one of those fabrics, you'll realize that you can't go wrong with any one of these packs because the fabrics that we put in our packs are our creations. And so here is a blues mystery pack, which is really fun. And each one of these contain 40 10-inch squares. Here is the autumnal pack. And I might say that maybe 2 or 3 might be identical, but then they become random because we make these when we have enough fabrics to pull together a few, probably 4 at a time, of our packs, okay? Because you can yield 4 10-inch squares from a full width 45-inch wide piece of fabric. So here is our Brilliance or Brights pack. So there's a lot of really, really fun things that we put together in that pack. Next, I want to talk to you about our mystery strip bags. We decided to put together what we call a Mega-Licious Tiki treasure bag. This is new. It's going to be on our website as a new item. It contains approximately 5, if you were going to line everything up on a table, about 5 yards of fabric. And there are 40 strips in here. And I'm going to show you what these strips are. And they measure anywhere from 4 inches wide to almost 9 inches, because remember, 9 inches, I can get a fat eighth out of it. So slightly less than 9 inches. And they're all 45 inches wide, every single one of them. And so here is your first view of our Mega-Licious Tiki treasure bag. So each one of these, let me see if I can show this to you really easily here. But you see those? There's 40 different strips. And my guess is that the average range, how do I show this to you better? But the average width of them, that's what I'm going to do. The average width of them is probably about, I don't know, 5 or 6 inches maybe. Some are 7, some are 8, some are smaller. So I just did an average of, if I took 6 inches, for example, let's see, this one is, that one is almost, I would say 8 inches. So they're pretty wide. I did an average of 6 times 40 to get me to 50 or to 5 yards, okay? And so those are what we're going to have in our Mega-Licious Tiki Treasures. And I think you're gonna love these. So if you want to make jelly roll strips out of them, 2.5-inch strips, and cut them for your projects, you can get so many out of here, because if it's 5 inches or 6 inches, every one of these, you can get at least 2 strips out of it. And I think these are priced pretty well for you, because we didn't do any work but put them together. So we want you to have the savings, okay? Sorry about that. Somebody came into the office and I had to take a little quick moment there. So I hope I'm not going to be redundant here, but I just wanted to finish up on the Mega-Licious treasures, that they're not always going to be available, simply because we will put them together when we have the fabric. We won't cut fabric in order to supply one of these scrap bags or the scrap bags that I'm going to share with you next, okay? So if they're not available on our website, it means that we just haven't accumulated enough proper scraps in order to make something that is the way we want you to have it, okay? So just keep that in mind. But always you can get on my chat and ask me, don't you have any Mega-Licious packs? Because maybe I just haven't remembered to turn the flag back to available again. So don't ever hesitate to ask the question. Okay, the next mystery pack that I want to share with you and show you the contents of is our, what we call our Tiki Treasures. Tiki Treasures are, I call them cuts. They are chunks of fabric that are not 45 inches wide. They are smaller, and they are wider than what you would consider a strip, because we have another pack that I'm going to show you in a minute that's a strip pack, okay? So we have a cut pack and we have a strip pack. These are both, I don't measure them, I don't do anything but weigh the packages. Each one of these are 2 pounds of fabric. And whenever I have weighed a yard of our batik cotton, 1 yard measures about 5 ounces or so. And it's pretty consistent regardless of whether or not it's a stamp batik or a hand dyed. And you may wonder why I say that, but wax adds more than you think it does to fabric. So about 5 ounces is a yard of 45-inch wide fabric. So 2 pounds of our scraps actually can be a lot of fabric. It's just how you can use it, okay? So I'm gonna open up one of these bags. I'm gonna move this stuff aside here for just a second so that you can see what's in a bag, because you may not know. And we want you to know that we are really putting in these bags some really quality sized fabric, okay? So we have, for example, here is a square. It's not a 10-inch square. It's a little bit smaller, but the packaging that it's in is a 12 by 12. So it's a decent sized piece of fabric that you can do a lot with. And that's an example of one. Here's a smaller piece. Okay, so we are giving you in these packages larger, what I call cuts of fabric. And so here's one that's a little longer, but it's a cut. And here's one that's a little longer. we had a bunch of these. I didn't realize that Kathy had put so many together underneath the table. And so there are beautiful packages here for you. And some of them might be smaller, okay? So here's a small piece. But I don't think it's small because it measures 3 inches by 9 inches. So they're pretty decent sized cuts. And this entire stack here, I don't think I can hold it appropriately without it falling apart, but they've all been ironed. I know we're crazy. And they are large cuts, random cuts. I really try very hard to not duplicate fabrics so much, okay? Because we really want you, they're not only good for adding to your stash or making a scrap quilt or teaching a daughter or a son or a grandchild how to sew. You know, these are great things to just make little projects out of. There's so many different things that we do during the holidays that need a little bit of fabric, and this is a great way to add to your stash. And I don't remember how much these are. I think they're like $25 or something like that. So that is what I call our Tiki Treasures. That is cuts. So specifically look for the word cuts, and it's 2 pounds of fabric. Okay, then I'm going to show you, you can probably gather by now what the strips are going to be. The strips are a minimum of 15 inches long. Some are 45 inches long. Some are 115 inches long. So they really do range, but to me, a strip should never be shorter than 15, otherwise it's a cut or a scrap. So that's how I define that. And the width of them, I want all of our scraps to be, this is going to be hard to pull out of this bag without it falling all apart, but this is going to be, they need to be at least 2 inches wide. They can't be smaller than 2 inches wide. We want you to do something with these strips. And I bet a very creative individual could make so many beautiful strip pieced quilts out of this. It's not even funny. I've seen so many tiny blocks. I just love the mini quilt concept, that you could do a whole entire quilt out of mini strips of fabric. And I'm going to hold this out. I'm going to put this back on the plastic so I can hold it. But you see how each one of these is layered? They're not necessarily pressed, but what they are, they're not wrinkled. We wanted them to lay flat for you so you have a beautiful experience with this. So there are so many different ranges of colors and strips. I'm going to turn this around because they're layered in here beautifully so that you can see the colors. And then if I lift one up, this is a 45-inch wide strip. And some of them might have a little frayed selvage on them. We don't take off the selvages and throw them in the garbage. Our goal is to keep the labor down so that you get a good price on this product. And who doesn't want that? So you will maybe have to cut off a couple of little frayed edges of a selvage, but I don't think that's too bad. So here's another strip. So these are between 2 and 2.5 inch strips. Some of these are 3. Here's another one that's wider, that's longer, and there's a little selvage fray on the end of that one. So they're now I want to keep this and work on something. Isn't that terrible? Anyway, so this is, just so you know now, 2 pounds of strips. That the shortest strip will be 15 inches. The longest is, of course, 115, and they are 2 inches wide or more. So that is our strip pack. And then you may ask yourself, is that all? Don't you have more? We do. It's crazy. I feel like I'm making a little crazy comedy show here, but we also have what we call Tiki Tidbits. Because there's always that end. There's always the end of a cut that we as fabric people ask ourselves, do we throw that away or do we keep it? What do we do with it? And so I just want you to know I throw nothing. Well, unless I'm really lazy, but I really throw nothing. And I think a couple weeks ago, was it? No, it's over a month ago now. Time flies. Where two of our really dear friends came into the office, and I had this gigantic bag of scraps that I was going to make a pet bed out of, because they are smaller than they were like smaller than a half an inch, and just tiny, just extra little strippy little things that I just couldn't throw in the garbage. And so I said, I'll make something out of this. We will do our best to not put any more fabric in the landfill. And she just talked about how she makes these mosaics and beautiful pictorial wall hangings, gorgeous, but she does it with fusing and these little tiny strips, and it's just beautiful art. And so I gave her the whole entire bag. It was like this big. And you know, when you make somebody happy like that, it's actually very rewarding. So our Tiki Tidbits, this now is a pound of fabric, because I decided I wasn't going to be so fussy about getting everything straight in a bag, and I can't get 2 pounds in here without really jamming the bag and then breaking it, and I just didn't want to do that. So there's a pound of fabric in here, and most of these fabrics, so this one is 45 inches, so this one's a little wider. Probably could have been in the other strip bag, but they range from a half an inch wide to less than 2 inches, because anything 2 inches or more is going in this nice organized strip bag. So they can be smaller. Now you might be asking yourself, what am I going to do? Okay, so like this one's 115 inches wide. We just left it intact. You know, what are you going to do with this stuff? Well, like I mentioned, if you're an art quilter, mosaics, or you do any kind of braiding to make braided rugs, it just can be absolutely anything. And I know that I haven't done this yet myself, but those mini quilts with the mini little teeny tiny strips, you could get that from here. It's crazy. And I just give people so much credit who can think about how to use up every ounce of the fabric. And this is just one of those things. And so this is priced less because it's just a range of strips, and it's 1 pound. So it's half of what this big one is here. And we try to do our best to make a variety of these. And what I had done, you're gonna laugh at me now, but what I had done is I went and found our tote of scraps, and in here we're gonna, these are gradations, okay? So these are strips from our Nuance Gradation collection where they transition in color from, like, this one's from yellow to orange. This is Cantaloupe is the color name. We have purple. We have a whole bunch of gradations as well. We have strip packs for gradations for those of you who really simply want to work with the ombre fabrics. And the reason I separated those out is because we've had customers ask us why one end of the fabric, not knowing what the gradations are and that they even exist, that one end of the fabric is too light and wasn't dyed properly. And I get that. Not everybody is exposed to every type of fabric that exists out there. And so I decided not to confuse the matter and I decided just to leave our gradations. So here's purple, and it transitions from a light to a dark. These are their own packs. And so if you are a lover of our Nuance Gradations and want some strips to do things with, then definitely get that 1 pound bag of strips, and it will simply be the strips of the gradation. So these I have to take out of this bucket. But over time, do you see what I'm saying here? Over time, we just add strips to our little strip bucket and package them up when we have a few minutes to just kind of get ourselves organized and make them available on our website for you. Now, I am going to do something really fun too. I just decided, oh, here's a chunk that's got to go in something else. But I decided that I was going to start creating that extra bag of stuff, because we may have these scraps here, but there may be something that truly is not sellable. And no, that's still over a half an inch. But there's other things that are just too tiny or too narrow or too scrappy that really should be thrown, I guess, if you're gonna just throw it. And I'm gonna put those in a bag, a plastic bag, however big. And when I get one, we're going to use it as a giveaway. Whoever answers a certain question or does something is going to get a free bag, and I'll just ship it to you, because we need to save our landfills and we need to use our fabric. And if you want those little tiny pieces, I am more than happy to mail them to you. So we will add that to our little giveaways here. They're not going to be on our website ever, but we'll just keep adding them so that you can have a little scrap bag of fun. Okay, so I have talked about everything that we now offer on our website for our batik cottons. Large cuts of fabric for quilt backings or table runners or big projects. Tiki Fries, our fat eighths, our mystery bags of brown bag of fat quarters, and our cuts of fabric, our 10-inch squares, our scrap bags, everything here. And hopefully that has answered a bunch of questions that you may have or are wondering what's in these, and I don't want to buy one until I see one kind of question, which I completely understand. I'm the same way. So I really wanted to show that to you. And I have one more little project that I did out of 10-inch squares that I really want to put back on our website, and I want to make a new one. So I'm going to show you that next. I'm going to move all this stuff actually and show you this little project. If anybody places an order for any of our cotton over the rest of September, let's just say the rest of September, I just think this is such a fun little project. I will include a little free pattern of what I call the simple block along. And I made this so many years ago, but it got me thinking about it when I was making these 10-inch square packs. Kathy did such an amazing job organizing all the fabrics that I thought, oh, this would be so much fun. It would be beautiful to make another one of these simple block alongs. And here's the quilt. Now, and I hate doing this, but I'm showing you a quilt where I do not have the fabric. It was 15 years ago when I had this fabric. Well, not that long ago. I made this pattern in 2017. So it's not that long ago, but that's 6 years. So here is the quilt here. Hopefully you can see, it's just a subtle, the design of it is to use 40 10-inch blocks. There's no leftover. Each one of the squares is cut this way. 2-inch by 10-inch strips, there's 5 of them. That uses up our block. And then we cut 2 of those strips into 4 2-by-5-inch segments. The other 3 strips we cut into a 2-inch by 2-inch square and an 8-inch by 2-inch segment. That's it. And then we put them all together completely randomly to create these blocks that look like a courthouse step, and sew them together completely randomly, place them on our design wall every other direction, and we have this cute little quilt. Okay, so anybody that places an order for any cotton through the month of September, we will include this cute little pattern. So you just have it with you. You can do it yourself, you can design it yourself, you could have done this by yourself, but I will make sure you get the little piece of paper in your order as well. Okay, so that is our simple block along, which I truly, truly adore, and the quilting on it is spectacular. It just makes it really, really super cute. One more thing to share with you today, and it actually is sort of nostalgic. It's sort of one of these things that has nothing to do with Sew Batik. It has nothing to do with anything we're talking about here, but I really wanted to share it because I thought it was so cute, and it's a little bit about my history and how I started sewing and how my mom was absolutely an impeccable sewer. And you know, you don't think about those things until you're older, and she starts giving you all of these little things that all these clothes that she made for you when you were growing up. And you have to remember something too when I share these with you. This is what she's finding in her lovely treasure trove of things, and she's sharing them with me and my sister. I'm a twin, and so whatever she made for one, she made for the other, and so she made two of everything. And I just really, it's amazing what she did. And she was a nurse, and she was a mom, and she was just amazing. Isn't this cute? This cute little shirt. And it has raglan sleeves. Look at this cute little shirt with the buttons and the nice little, she did not do the applique, or it's not applique, it's actually stitching work in here. I think it was a fabric that was available at that time. But every little detail is so perfect. All of the hand sewing of the collar, all of the elastic in the sleeves. I mean, it's perfectly zigzagged. She was just an amazing, amazing sewist. And I'm going to show you this little white dress. Look, how cute is this dress? And I don't do enough of this myself. If anything, she added so much little detail to everything that she sewed. Look at the little roses. They're all hand stitched on. And every one of these garments, me, the frightened zipper person, I barely, except for the handbags, I barely put in a zipper in any garment, and I don't know why. I have done added zippers to several, but I don't know, I just get shunned. And here she is putting zippers in little girls' clothing. This is just so darling. I do have to kind of wash some of these up because they have that. I've been in the attic for, I will not tell you the number of years, even though you probably know how old I am. And isn't this adorable? Look at this little yellow dress. Look at the detail around all of the lace. It's not really lace, but the added ribbon to it. And again, the craftsmanship on this, there's little darts in the front and in the back. And the zipper and the hem on this dress has got to be 3.5 inches. And it's all hand stitched down, no machine stitch, just so beautifully done. So I have to start challenging myself to do a little bit more intricate work to share that with you. And isn't this fun? Do you guys get your parents to save all of this stuff for you as well? Oof, and your sister. So, and she's always checking with me. Did Darla get hers? Did you get this one? Did Darla get hers? So I just really wanted to share with you all of these fun little memories. Nothing to do with Sew Batik, but it does have to do with sewing and where we all get our background in sewing from. And mine was definitely my mom, and it was from 4-H, and it was just from learning the love of sewing. So, okay, last but not least, we are going to do a quick little flash sale on our website to celebrate memories, to celebrate our cotton, and that is going to be a sale on our 115-inch wide batik cotton collection. And you'll have 20% off this weekend only. You will need a code. So I have set this up for a code. So if you are on YouTube and subscribe to YouTube, you'll see it below. And also it will be in our e-newsletter as well. And definitely take a moment and see if you need any quilt backings, or if you need a new Thanksgiving tablecloth, a Christmas tablecloth, whatever you happen to need, and take advantage of that sale. And it's still National Sewing Month, so our notions and thread are all still discounted for the month of September. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this session, and we answered a bunch of questions about our cotton collection, or clarified, I should say, what is in each one of the packs. And have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. I hope it is super nice where you are. The leaves are changing here. Let me tell you, it's beautiful take a moment and look around and just love the color that is now appearing all around us. So have a wonderful weekend and keep sewing, smiling, and sharing.